congratulations on
Thank you.
Wolfman. You've with what you did with Invisible Man and now Wolfman, any pressures in really having to take such iconic characters that Universal beloves so much?
There is a little bit of pressure, a little bit. I mean, I think it goes in degrees, right? I think if you're making a Batman movie, that's a lot more pressure. Or a Star Wars movie, it gets very intense when it comes to. The monsters do have their hardcore fans, but I feel like horror fans are maybe a bit more forgiving with taking chances, taking big swings in a way that maybe Star Wars fans aren't, So I felt pressure, but I also knew that horror fans would appreciate it if I was making something a bit unique.
Yeah, and so when you know you were going to work on this, what were you more excited to tackle about the Wolfman that you liked about his characteristics?
I think the most exciting thing for me was presenting it in a new light. I really felt like the metaphor of disease and a family being broken apart by a horrible disease was really interesting to me to tell from a horror standpoint. And so that was it was less Wolfman lore that was interesting as it was like a real life situation of dealing with a horrendous illness,
And that, and also I noticed the theme you have, you have the dad, the husband, the daughter, and yes, he's turning into this thing, but he also needs to somehow figure out a way to protect his family. As a family man yourself, how was that experience in writing that?
It was very personal to me. I have kids. Your relationship with your kids is just, it makes you so vulnerable when you have kids. I feel like I fail every day as a father, and then I have a victory. Every time there's 2 steps forward, there's 3 steps back as a dad. You're constantly chastising yourself for not doing something right. It's very tough, And I was also writing the first draft during COVID. So all of that isolation and weirdness that was happening then was seeping in, fatherhood, kids, family, the state of the world. It's all in there, So, I just let all that stuff out in the script. It was a cathartic process.
What are some of the challenges in taking a character like Wolfman that we've seen so many different variations,
Right.
funnier ones, some serious ones,
Right.
and so many, as somebody who's going to do a fresh new take on it, what do you do to just try to bring originality to it?
Wow, it's a good question. I think you just have to sit down and think, okay, what's been done? And I actually made a little collage on my computer of all these Wolfmen that have been done before in the past. I was staring at their faces like Lon Chaney, American Werewolf in London, all these different faces, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking all right, where does my guy sit in this roster? For some reason, looking at all their faces made it clearer about what had not been done. At least, as long as I feel like what I'm doing is a unique addition to it, I feel good,
And one of the things I love about horror, and something that people do right, is, not showing the monster, which is so difficult when it's like the Wolfman. But I noticed in the trailer, it looks like you have amazing sound design. Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You're the only person to ask about that. I mean, I'm actually in the middle of the sound design process now for the movie. I love sound design. I've been obsessed with it. I went to film school actually with a teacher who was really obsessed with film sound. There's not many people, you find a lot of people who are obsessed with cinematography, but film sound gets, short thrift, I think. And this particular teacher at film school was always impressing upon us the artistry of sound, the way you can tell a story with it. And he drilled it into us so much that, when James Wan and I left film school and started working together, sound was always a big consideration. It's actually my favorite part of the process is when you're laying on the sound, because that's when the movie comes alive, kind of comes off the screen. So I wanted this movie to be an audio-visual assault, and I was even writing sound design into the stage directions of the screenplay. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought it up. Not many people do, but it's definitely a big part of it.
Especially in a movie like this where they're in this house, a creak, the wood, footsteps, a groan, a breath.
Yep.
It's all I'm assuming it's all going to be leading to some amazing scares.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing my best. I know it's going to be interesting and unique sound without spoiling anything. There's something I can do with sound in this movie that I haven't done in any other movie. And I work with these great sound designers. Shout out to PK and Will. And we're mixing at Warner Brothers right now, you know, on one of the sound stages there. Is that Jason Blum? And that's got to be Jason Blum. I can hear his voice. And Buddy, he, you know, when we're on these stages, like at Warner Brothers, they've mixed so many great movies I love there. You really feel like you're on hallowed ground. And I was like, all right, we've got to go for it. We've really got to create something different.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear the movie.
Yeah, yes.
As well as watch it.
Good.
Now, something you guys were talking about on stage and Jason was talking about is, you know, you need the amazing cast also to make this work. So you have Christopher, you have Julia, you have Matilda, you know, what made them the perfect family, especially because that's really who we're spending time with here.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's weird. It's always a bit of alchemy with acting because you never know who's going to get along. You never know who's going to, you know, how do you know when you put a bunch of people together, how they're going to play as a family? And, oh man, I'm just picturing the movie now, like I'm watching the movie so much, and their ability to be real, you know, authenticity, you know, there's a certain style of acting where you take it up a notch, you know, and it's like big, you know, someone like Chris and Julia too, they manage to say a lot without saying a word, you know, they can communicate so much, so it was very important for a movie like this where you're in one location a lot, you know, sorry.
Yeah, and now to the creature itself. I did want to bring this up, but a lot of internet chatter, and I know that I got a lot of questions even at a station where I work at about the look of the Wolfman, because you know there was that one.
Oh yeah, the Halloween Horror Nights thing.
Halloween Horror Nights thing.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. I mean, it's funny because Ari and Tushin, the makeup artist, and I, we put so much work into how it all looks, and without spoiling anything, that's not what you're going to see in this movie. But the problem is, once it goes out on the internet, people are like, oh, that's what it is. So all you can do is go, let's just charge ahead and put the movie out there. But that was definitely a blunder on their part.
But in a way, it could also, I mean, I understand the social media aspect of it could be very negative, but in a way, it could also serve as quite the big surprise, right? When the actual Wolfman.
It's the power of low expectations, right? Well, no, it's you know, we have something very specific that we've been working on for a long time, and you know, we're holding back from showing it too much so we can reveal it. You know, we're really proud of it. I can't wait for people to actually see it, you know?
Yes, I mean, same here, but that's the power of horror, though. Do not show the monster until you absolutely have to. I believe in that, and it feels like you do too, so I'm excited.
I know. I mean, you know, I really do believe in that, and that's why, you know, when it comes to the poster art and everything, I'm pretty obsessive about, you know, not showing certain things. So that's why when stuff like the Halloween Horror Nights happens, I'm like, guys, what are you doing? You're presenting something in the wrong light. It's too early, and we need to hold this back for the theatre goers. Otherwise, they're going to think that's what we're doing. And sure enough, people jump on the internet and they say, like, is this what it is? And you're like, I'm not on social media, so I can't say, no, that's not it. So I'm like, guys, we just got to focus on the trailers and creating a bit of mystique around this movie. So, yeah, hopefully when people see it, they're like, oh, good.
Yeah, that was my first reaction. I was like, come on, guys. Like, they haven't even released a trailer for it. This is no way. There's no way. This is probably just a tease.
I mean, the problem with a big studio, it's a big company with thousands of employees. It's a big multi-limbed octopus. You know, you're not necessarily in control of what someone's doing at a theme park in Orlando, and not every single aspect is under your purview. So something might happen where you're like, oh, you know, you're off the mark there. You know, things like that happened before, whether it's leaks or the wrong thing gets out. But what I do feel confident in is the movie we have, for sure.
So the final question then, why should everyone see this in theaters?
That is a great question. I think everyone should see it in theaters because it was designed for theaters. Like you were talking about the sound before. We have been designing that sound for Dolby Atmos, for big theaters. We want it to be crushing, all encompassing. Same with the visuals. Like it's not made for home entertainment. Like I when it gets there eventually, great. But really you got to see it in a theatre to get the full experience of what we have done. You know, I feel like if you don't watch it in a theatre, you're getting half the experience of what we've done. You know,
100% agree. Like, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank
excited.
you. Thank you, guys.